we can.
Okay. Glass pants. Okay.
Yeah.
It's an I Spy joke from a long time ago, about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Look, I got to tell you that the restaurants are getting open. You have to be you have to put half the people in that you could. Otherwise, you basically have to do contact tracing. Now, I love you, David, but I'm not going to contact trace you. No, I don't have that in me.
Okay, that's okay. But you know what, Carl, testing is going to be with us for a very long time. And then when it's funny, when we have this conversation, I get back to thinking about reopening and about people coming back to offices and when that's going to fully happen and how businesses are going to be dealing with it and when they're going to potentially say, well, we'd really like you to get a vaccine, but can we require you to? No, but when will you come back? We'd like you back, and go from encouraging to perhaps being more disciplinary in approach. These are all key questions a lot of people who run organizations are grappling with right now. As we move forward with we're fully reopening.
Are you aware of the Citi program, David? The Citigroup program?
No, tell me.
Where they're making, people have to get tested at Citi. This is done in conjunction with Dr. Minna from Harvard. And basically, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, before you come to the office, do a little test. I'm getting the Abbott test this week. I'm going to start taking Abbott every day, David, because if I'm going to be that close to you, I got to protect myself from you and vice versa.
Well, when you say something like that,
I promise to test every day.
Really? I mean, why would you do that? You're fully vaccinated. The chances that you could actually catch anything are extraordinarily low.
There are 5,800 people who have caught something.
0.008%.
5,800 people.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, well, so why would you do that?
I don't know.
All right.
That was a good idea.
Is that a rational approach? Is that really based on the data? Is that how you would approach risk in other areas if you knew the actual data?
No, but this one, you still have to quarantine periodically. Like, David, where the hell am I right now? I mean, everybody but can you get the dog over here? Where the hell is Marley? I mean, this place. I mean, look, I'm like at home. The doorbell rings. The dog barks. This is amateur hour. It's a Ted Mack amateur hour. Carl, I can't stand it. I want to go back to the set. I mean, yesterday someone the kid ordered Chinese food in the middle of Mad Money. I mean, this is nuts.
It's a weird collision. Everybody who's worked from home understands the weird collision between your work and your family when you're working at home. But by the way, guys, although there's a lot of optimism about vaccination, we are nearing the all-time high globally for cases. Canada, of course, Ontario's not in good shape. India is still a mess. David, I see right now the head of the Tokyo Olympics is having to once again reassure the world that the games won't be canceled. Because of the surge in cases in Japan. And by the way, we do have an upgrade of our parent Comcast, which relies heavily on the distribution of those games.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And obviously parts of Comcast business in terms of theme parks, for example, also impacted, and movies, as we all know as well. You know, Jim, when we talk about other parts of the world, because we are doing quite well in vaccine distribution in this country, when we talk about the EU, we look at those Chinese growth numbers. Okay, they've been open for a long time. They're back to normal quite some time back. But what about worldwide growth and how you sort of try and interpret that and infuse that into your overall view of the market at this point, given there's a lot of laggards out there when it comes to really combating the virus with vaccines right now?
Well, look, I know that I personally thought that J&J would be producing hundreds of millions this year. I think Pfizer's capable of doing that, but there's 7 billion people on the planet, and I think that the best doctors would tell you, given the fact that we have no immunity against this, that unless we get everybody, then we're in trouble. Now, what's interesting is Israel's about 60%, and they think that they've wiped it out. So we don't necessarily have to get to 100%. But so maybe but we still need, that would mean about 5 billion. David, there'll be countries that are off limits for years if they don't get this solved.
Right.
I mean, just off limits. I mean, remember, Italy's not solved. My daughter's in Spain. She hasn't been able to leave Madrid for 2 years. Mm-hmm. She teaches English there. I mean, that's ridiculous. Well, it's not ridiculous, but Spain doesn't have it under control. Italy, not under control. These are developed countries, David.
Yeah, well, Carl, we know the EU, while it did a fairly good job in terms of containing the virus with actions to do so, it has not done a particularly good job when it comes to distributing vaccines yet, and that continues to be a key issue.
Yeah. You know, guys, I don't know if you've seen this yet. It's kind of a long report, 90 pages out of Katie Huberty this morning, guys. But it's basically about the new workplace and her argument that work from home is going to last longer than we think. And there are implications for technology on that, Jim. In her words, longer and higher, because the idea that we're just going to go right back to where we were in terms of office work is just not in the cards, she says.
Look, the banks want it to happen. I think that they may want it to happen, but they'll often tell you, look, there are people who won't come back. Now, one of the things that's happened in this era that's different from when I worked on Wall Street is there's actually freedom of action. There are people who are saying to the top bosses, look, I can't come back. I have a comorbidity, or I can't come back. I'm worried about some immune problems I have. And none of these companies is going to take on the risk of telling someone with that they can't come back. So, and then there's also this hybrid model where people are saying, listen, Tuesdays and Fridays, I don't go into the office. Now, Carl, what's amazing to me is that the bosses are not saying, well, you're fired. It's almost as if they're afraid of discrimination suits. They're afraid of suits that basically say these are protected class people. So it is going to be a new workforce that basically says, hey, today's not my day. And there's going to be a substantial change in the way office work is done and how the cubicles work and the offices work. I think it's really great for any company that does, where you ran a few offices at a given time, including some firms that we thought were never going to make it. So I don't know, Carl. I have never seen CEOs have less power in my life. They can't get people to come to the office. Yep. What a basic thing that is gone. No, I'm not coming in today. Well, are you sick? No, I'm not coming in today. I mean, David, I don't know.
Same, Jim. Same.
Carl,
Hear it all the time. I'm hearing it constantly.
Right?
And I mean, you're nailing it. It's exactly the same conversation. Not sure what we can do, how we approach it. Maybe by September we start to make it clear, well, maybe our culture and your view of our culture are two different things, and therefore we should part ways. But they're not there yet. Carl?
No.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, add Georgetown to the list of the colleges that are going to be mandating vaccines for students in the fall. We do got record highs on the S&P. Again, record high Dow. The VIX closer to 16 this morning than 17. Let's get to Bob Pisani. Hey, Bob.
Hello, Carl. Happy Friday. Great week overall. We're up 1% on the S&P. All 11 sectors started on the upside, 2-1 advancing to declining stocks. This has been a really strong week every single day. I want to point out, tech's flattish today, but it's been fine this week. It's with the markets up about 1%, but it's defensive stuff that has lagged before that sort of caught up this week. So healthcare, for example, and REITs have been doing well. Healthcare REITs, utilities also up about 2% so far this week. So the defensive are doing well. Banks up fractionally today, but actually banks have lagged this week. And there's two reasons that the banks have lagged this week. One is they tend to drop a little bit going into earnings season and immediately after that. And the second reason is, other than the core numbers have been fairly tepid. The stuff the people who follow the economy care about. Trading numbers have been fantastic for the big money center banks. But now you're getting into the big regional banks where the economy is more important overall to what they're doing. So look at PNC today. Had a big provision release. They had a huge beat on earnings, but it was a provisions release. There was some other things that was in there that was important for them. But look what I call the economy stuff. Average loan balance was down 2%. Net interest income was down 3%. Net interest income and margins were lower because there were fewer loans out there and there were lower securities yields overall. So that's the stuff people care about. Net interest income and loans. They were all kind of on the tepid side. All the banks basically reported this. Yes, trading activity was amazing for many of the big money center banks. But look at the response to the market. We had these blowout earnings from these companies this week, and this is what they've done this week. Pretty tepid response given the amazing numbers. That's because the street's looking through it and saying, Well, how's the actual real economy numbers doing? It's fair, but not amazing overall. Meantime, if you look at what's really going on in terms of like sectors that are lagging, some of the thematic tech stuff has been lagging recently as the markets move forward. And boy, these electric vehicle stocks, I mean, these stocks were just darlings of the media 5-6 months ago. And most of them are down 20, 25, 30% this month, this week. And well off of their highs. Some of them are 50% off their highs. I mean, Plug Power was just